Very good. Very good, very good.
Platicando con mi olor, anoche por la ventana. Me pídale de cantar a casa de por mi honor, y con mi retirada me lo
A round of applause to the Jefferson High School Mariachi under the direction of Mr. Ledesma. And let's also, I see all our young spirited students at our entrance, the Lariats, Pep Squad and Drill Team, the Lassos and Cheer Squad, their directors, Miss Leal, Miss Neal, and Miss Ingram. Thank you for your leadership as well. If I can ask all those that have been coming in, we've got plenty of front row seats. I can guarantee that you're going to want to get closer so you can see the information. So those in the back, please come to the front. We'll give you about 20 seconds before we get started, but if we can fill in all these seats here for any of those who are in the back. Si quieres sentar aquí en el frente, por favor. Bienvenidos. Come on, principals. Y'all are being, notes are being taken by the superintendent. So we want no back row leaders. We want all front row leaders. Again, welcome. My name is Ed Garza. I am the elected trustee for Single Member District 7. We want to welcome all of you, our guests, and we have media present as well as, and we have those that are joining us tonight online. We want to welcome all of our residents and our stakeholders in our community. I am pleased to welcome you here tonight at Jefferson High School. We had, of course, a day yesterday that we will not forget for quite some time, and I want to acknowledge Head of School Ralph Halderan. Where is he? Let's give Head of School Ralph Haldeman a round of applause for, on behalf of his entire staff, administrators, teachers, students, parents, and community members that were here yesterday to provide support, to lend support, and do whatever it takes to keep our students and our staff safe. I know that I was here within minutes of the call that was made. I spoke to our superintendent, was able to hear pretty quickly that this was not the situation that we feared, but certainly one that we had to be cautious about and take extra precautions to continue the protocols to ensure that all students and staff were safe. And I can't tell you how proud I am of the result of yesterday from what I've been talking with students, as I've been talking to teachers and parents. The bottom line is our students were safe. And the other big benefit and opportunity for our school district is what lessons did we learn from yesterday? Because as I was talking to another parent outside, I was talking about how more prepared Jefferson High School is and its students than any other school in San Antonio, Bexar County because of yesterday. It's unfortunate that it took an incident like that to get us all to see our strengths and our areas of improvement. But I can tell you that from the standpoint of what happened inside these doors, that from our first responders who are here in minutes, our partners with the San Antonio Police Department, SAISD Police, all of our community stakeholders, that the end result was achieved, and that was protecting our students. I also talked to some of the media that said, we normally don't cover false alarms, but because of the presence of this community, because of the response, and because of the level of engagement by the parents, it made news. But again, that's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for us to improve and get better, and most importantly, continue to evolve as safety threats continue to evolve. Because again, an active shooter is one threat. There's so many other threats that happen and continue to happen and continue to evolve. So again, thank you for your acknowledgement and being here tonight. And again, thank you to our leadership for ensuring our students and staff are safe. Again, I want to welcome all of you. We have our distinguished superintendent, who I'll be introducing here shortly. We have our consultant team that I'll be introducing as well, which is the main topic of the town hall tonight, which is the redistricting of our geopolitical lines. They're not school boundary lines that we're changing. These are the lines and boundaries that the census requires all governmental bodies to update after every 10 years to ensure that the populations are balanced as best as possible, plus or minus 10%. And so the city of San Antonio recently went through theirs, other school districts are going through theirs, and we are now completing our process. So your input is important before these final boundaries are approved. We're also having our Jefferson YWA Education Leadership Council kickoff tonight. So immediately after our presentation on redistricting, we're hoping about 6:40, 6:45 the latest, because our JELC agenda also includes our dynamic updates from our campus principals across District 7 and the Jefferson feeder schools. So we encourage you to stay here throughout the night. So we have our agenda slide up here. Again, I'll be introducing our superintendent here momentarily. We'll go into our redistricting presentation, Q&A on that, and then we'll jump into our JELC agenda. Oh, I have the control. Oh, that's dangerous. Okay. So again, I just already talked about why we're here tonight and what our purpose is for the redistricting. And this is happening. This type of town hall is happening across all of our single member districts. And this, again, we have some changes that you're going to hear for District 7 in particular that we want you to take note of. and they'll go into the reasons for that. These are all the campuses that are physically, their address is physically in District 7. And so again, sometimes people get confused because we overlap with City Council District 7, and that's not, that's a coincidence more than anything else. Although I do think it's by faith, because I've had to, been the honor to represent both City Council District 7 and District 7 on the school board. But these are the schools that are physically located within the district. And although Arnold Elementary feeds into Jefferson High School today, it's not part of single member District 7, even though again, it feeds into the high school. It's not part of the district. And that's one of the changes you'll hear, or proposed changes that you'll hear tonight. So we want you to also scan this QR code, submit questions online. If you have questions, scan this, submit it so that we can address that during the Q&A session. So again, try to take a picture of that. Do we have a handout of it, or is this it right here? So again, try to get your phones out, get it captured, and you can submit your questions online. Of course, this is part of our vision, is to dream big, and our superintendent dreams very big. And he came in with a splash in our district about miracles for our district and every student. And so this is something that we believe is critical to our future. And we have today our consultants that are going to also be collaborating with our superintendent and staff to make sure that this process achieves all of our goals. And with us tonight, we have Walsh, Gallegos, Trevino, Kyle, and Robinson. That's a lot of names as part of that firm, but I've known these gentlemen. They've been involved in the process throughout, and they will continue to be involved in many of the discussions that we have in not just SAISD, but throughout San Antonio. So with that, I would like to introduce our superintendent. And I don't need a script to introduce our superintendent because I know him well now. And we were fortunate right after this challenge of handling all of the dynamics with our COVID pandemic. We had the announcement of the departure of our previous superintendent, Pedro Martinez. And, you know, many of us, after seeing the trajectory leading up to 2019, didn't know if we could find another dynamic superintendent that could help lead our district to the next level. And when we began the interview process, the search process, I had my doubts. But again, I believe faith intervened, and we were fortunate to interview candidates, many candidates, and this one candidate came in and just everybody looked around the room, those school board members, and said, this is it. He's our person. He's our leader. It was that clear in terms of the alignment of the values that we all share as elected officials that represent you and the community, and most importantly, our vision for our students to become a national model urban school district where every child graduates and becomes a productive member of our community, dreaming big, believing in miracles, believing that we can make the impossible possible for every one of our students, no matter what challenges they bring. Dr. Aquino, as an immigrant, as an educator, he began as a teacher, came in with a passion and a vision and an alignment with our board. And so, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome the leader who can go to any football game in the state of Texas and show some moves that I was even surprised he had. And the lasso, he did a lasso, which I've still not been able to achieve. Mr. Halderman, I don't know if you've been able to accomplish that yet, but I want to welcome our superintendent and just let him know how grateful we are for his leadership. Please help me welcome Dr. Aquino.
Thank you, Trustee Garza. Buenas tardes a todos. No lo oí. Buenas tardes a todos. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. I think Trustee Garza was too generous in his introduction of me. I am the one who is incredibly grateful for the Board of Trustees to entrusting 46,000 amazing students to my care. What an honor. This is an honor of a lifetime. I've said this many times. First, you know, I see a lot of my principals here. They're like my kids, and they know that I don't like standing behind a podium. It's not my style, but I have to do it because I want to honor our guests that are joining us online so that they can see us. But and some of you probably heard this, and I'm going to repeat it again, you know, as an immigrant who came to this country as an adult, as a second language learner, who, as you will notice, is still trying to learn English. It was a great sense of humility and a great sense of honor that I stand in front of you today as the superintendent of the great San Antonio Independent School District. Who would have thought that someone like me from a third world country would have been able to land such a role? So as you can see, I am living the American dream. But I also have a dream. I have a dream that one day in the city of San Antonio, and why not in this great country of ours, all kids, not just one, not some, not most, but all kids will be afforded the opportunity that has been given to me to pursue a life without boundaries. But that dream would not be possible unless we have great schools in every single neighborhood, just like here at Jefferson. So Ralph, thank you for hosting us and all the school leaders who are here. So I am incredibly grateful. One of the things that I would have to say, I was undecided. I was undecided of taking this job. And while they were interviewing me, I was interviewing them. I wanted to know whether this was a right fit for me. And I work in many districts across the country. And I saw the vision that the board had, the alignment that they had among themselves, and more importantly, that their first priority is to do what's right for our kids. And that's what attracted me and appealed to me to come and join this community. I've said many times I was ready to retire because I had, now you could say, how could he possibly want to retire? He looks so young. I don't know if you're thinking that, but I'm hoping you're thinking that. But no, I'm old enough that I could retire. And I was ready to retire because I had a very difficult personal year. And I wanted to spend more time with my family. Very tragic year. But I said to some members of the board last week that I feel like I died and landed in heaven here in San Antonio and in the San Antonio Independent School District. It is an amazing community. It is an incredible district, and the sky is the limit for us. We are dreaming big. We want to make the impossible a reality. We're going to show everybody that no matter how the kids come to us, it's not an excuse for how they leave us. And I'm excited to be part of this journey. And I'm not here, I don't care about the title of superintendent. You know, I'm not here to lead. I'm here to serve our students, our families, the community, and our staff. And when I do lead, I will lead with a teacher's heart. I spent a lot of years in the classroom in New York City trying to make miracles happen for kids. And I remember what it is like to be a teacher. So every decision we make is going to be coming from the perspective of those who really have the power to transform the lives of our kids. So I have some incredible news about this great district of ours here in San Antonio ISD. In the last accountability rating, I'm happy to say that we were able to maintain our B rating after the most difficult school year that we have had in public education history. But not only did we get a B, we increased our overall score by 2 points from 83 to 85. And that is just a tribute to the leaders, our students, our teachers, and the entire community by showing that where our kids come from is no excuse for what they can do and show their brilliance. But the news get even better. I'm happy to say that this year we have 63% of our school have been rated A or B. 63%. Pre-pandemic in 2019, we only had 27. We more than doubled the number of schools that were rated A, B, and we significantly decreased the number of schools that were not rated, meaning that were either a D or F. We only have 10, still a lot, but in 2019, we had 39. We decreased that by 29. We're showing the rest of the country and the world that we can make this happen, that our students are brilliant. And here is just the historical data. You can see it's the same thing I show, but here's some highlights of District 7. District 7 went from having 2 schools rated A or B to 7 schools, and from having 7 schools in 2019 consider failing a D or F to none at all. That deserves a great round of applause. And that's after the most difficult 2 years that we have had in public education. And here's some highlight. YWLA maintain a rating. I see the staff and the principal an A rating, but not only that, they earn all 7 possible distinction designations. Maverick Elementary and Woodland Hills Elementary both increased their rating from a D to a B in 2 years. Hoopers Elementary and Longfellow Middle School also increased rating from an F to a C. Jefferson High School increased from a C to a B rating and graduated 91% of the class of 2021. And by the way, what a beautiful, beautiful campus. I got goosebumps when I went to the auditorium and the library. But just walking in and seeing that hallway with the dim light, the soft music, I just thought to myself, why wasn't my high school experience like that? So thank you, Ralph, and everybody here at Jefferson High School for everything you have done. And this shows you our trajectory of what we have done. In 2017, we had almost 24,000 students attending low-performing school. We have decreased this year to a little over 2,700. Still a lot of 2,700, but look at the decrease. That's something that we need to be proud. And the news gets, I want to show this one before, the news gets even better, because we, this year, for the first time in many, many years, we have exceeded our enrollment projection. We are 45,000 students strong. That translates to 772 more students that we have. It really shows that our students and family believe in the work that we're doing at San Antonio ISD. So that's an incredible accomplishment, because for many years we had declining enrollment. Where are we heading? I am very proud of the board. The board and my team spent 2 days in a retreat and came up with what I think is the best declaration statement of any school district in the world. And this was our declaration statement. We declare the possibility that the San Antonio ISD is an inclusive familia that is the destination for transformational learning that makes the impossible a reality by demonstrating an urgent and relentless commitment to love, nurture, and teach all of our students as if they are our own, so that they can have the power to shape the world and make it a better place for all of us. And I'm proud of this. I don't think in this country we have any other declaration statement or mission statement that has a word in Spanish. And we have familia. We could have put family, and family and familia are the same thing. But unless you visit San Antonio, you would understand that this is truly a familia, which is what brought me here. And so proud of that, but also very proud that this declaration is not only about teaching our kids, it's about loving them, nurturing them like if they were our own. My executive team, we don't make a decision without asking ourselves, would this be the decision we will make if it impacted our own kids? And that's our commitment to all of you. And finally, in terms of our direction, we want to make the impossible in public education, achieve the impossible in public education. We want to make miracles happen for all our kids by making San Antonio ISD a destination district. What do we mean by a destination district? Well, first, it's a district that our students and family choose because they're getting a well-rounded education. We have evidence that that's happening with those additional 772 students. But also, we want this to be a destination district for all our staff, so that our staff come to the district because it's a place where they can perfect their craft as they feel fulfilled in ensuring that every single child achieves to its fullest potential. And that's what we are committed to doing. One thing that I want, and Judy Gilholz from the SAISD Foundation is not here, but I think somebody else was here representing, and I want to thank the foundation in the back. I want to thank the foundation because, you know, we want to increase our attendance. First and foremost, because if the kids are not in our schools, they can learn. In addition to that, for every percentage point that we increase, we get additional 3.1 million. And the board has been committed that if we do that, we're going to reinvest that in our kids, in our schools, and more competitive salary for all our staff. So one of the things that we partner with the foundation, and thanks to the generosity of people like Don Frost and Rick Cavender, they have offered to partner with this, which what we call our, no, this one is not what we wanted. I think is this one, the Attend, Achieve, and Win initiative. So let's take a look at this like 30-second video clip.
The SAISD Foundation has got something you can rap about. Getting gear for good attendance. Every day your child attends school makes you one step closer to becoming the owner of a brand new Toyota RAV4. Visit SAISDfoundation.com to see how you can attend, achieve, and win.
So thank you to Rick Cavender and Don Frost. We have right now one Toyota RAV4 that at the end of the school year, the foundation is going to do a drawing for those students who have improved their attendance or perfect attendance. You can see all the parameters on the foundation's website. And this has been, I just came from Ball Elementary, and the kids are excited. The teachers are excited with this opportunity. At one of the town hall, when we opened it up to question, there was only one question, and it was a 10-year-old student. And she got up and said, is it possible that if I win, it's a bigger car? Because I have a big family. So it is really making a difference, but we know that our students also need immediate gratification. Thank you to the generosity of the foundation. Every 9 weeks, we will be also recognizing our students that have improved, met a benchmark of attendance. So we really want you to spread the word to make sure that our kids are here. Finally, we are committed to making miracles happen for kids. And I said at the beginning, it's an honor of a lifetime to be part of this amazing journey with all of you, where we truly are dreaming big, because whatever it takes, our kids are worth it. Thank you very much. And I'll turn it to
Now you know why.
They haven't seen me dance.
No, they haven't seen it. That's just right.
I had a faculty meeting today with the Ball Elementary, and the first question is it true that you're the dancing superintendent?
So you need to go to the next football game. We're not gonna say which one, but I also want to take this opportunity and recognize Chief Reyes and his leadership team here from the SAISD Police. Did an excellent job yesterday. Thank you for your leadership. Put around. They're acknowledging y'all. As well as our campus principals. I acknowledge Ms. McLaren coming in because I noticed when I was coming here, YWA went on a lockdown just out of precaution. And the parents were appreciative. And that's where I really know that we are all aligned on student safety because they didn't have to, but they took that extra step. And so again, principals, I want you all, you're going to have your minute in a minute, but let's stand up all of our campus principals. And I just have to say one more thing, as the superintendent talked about our academic trajectory and the velocity, especially since COVID, and which is remarkable. If somebody would have told me back when I ran for the school board in 2009, that SAISD would have a higher rating than our north side neighbor, most people would have said that was impossible. But ladies and gentlemen, this community made it happen. They made what most people would think is impossible a reality. And that's the kind of transformational leadership, and that's the kind of transformational results that are happening each and every day in our campuses. So with that, I'd like to introduce our consulting team that is here tonight. We have Tony Resendez and Eddie Hernandez that are here. I believe you have other members you may want to introduce from your team, but let's welcome our consultants who will give us a brief overview on our redistricting plan.
Thank you, Board Member Garza. Again, my name is Tony Resendez. I'm one of the attorneys with the firm that's helping with the redistricting team. Eddie Hernandez Perez is with me, as well as Paloma sitting in the back helping as well. So we're going to talk to you today about what redistricting is briefly, why we have to do it, when we have to do it, what the board has done to this point, and the feedback that we're seeking from the community. Now, we do this once every 10 years, and for me personally, this is one of the most important things we do, because it is one of the most foundational premises of our democracy. The idea is one person, one vote. So every 10 years, the federal government takes account of our people in this country, and every governmental body that has single member districts has to go back and look at what those populations are between those single member districts, and then make sure that we are balancing that population, because it wouldn't be fair for a district to have a certain population and another district to have a greater population. You know, theoretically that smaller group would have more power, more say in their voice. And we don't want that. We want it to be one person, one vote. That is the theory behind, that is the premise behind redistricting. And that's why we have to do it. So we're going to go ahead and go through our PowerPoint present. Okay. So this, we're going to talk about what redistricting is and what is required, what type of governance structure this school district has, the requirements for redistricting and what occurs, and how to provide feedback for the board. The board did a great job of setting up these town hall meetings, making sure that throughout the community, the citizens have an opportunity to come and talk to us and talk to the board ultimately about what their thoughts are regarding the proposed changes that we have worked on. So what is redistricting? The redistricting is the process by which the geographical boundaries of elective districts are periodically redrawn in response to the changes in population, such as the school board single member district. So, and as Board Member Garza mentioned, every school district across the state that has single member districts has gone through this process or is going through this process, as well as all the other governmental bodies. The city of San Antonio recently did it. So now, you know, San Antonio ISD is doing it as well. So there's a picture of the map. Those are the 7 single member districts, and the San Antonio ISD governance structure is to have 7 board members. That's why there's 7 districts. There are some school districts, believe it or not, with 3 board members, and there's a couple of districts with 9 board members. There's actually one district with 24 board members, but that's a unique situation. But San Antonio ISD has 7 board members, and there's 7 single-member districts that we have to balance the population between those 7 districts. And the next election is held in May of 2023. The law requires that we have to have the lines drawn 90 days before the next election. But the idea is to have it done way before then, because those who might be interested in running, we want to have the lines kind of ready to go for everyone to know what they are. So why is the school district redistricting? Well, the law requires, the education code requires specifically that after the census is done, we have to go back and look at our population amongst the single member districts and make sure that they're not out of line by more than 10%. There's a 10% rule. So we have to make sure that the largest district and the smallest district, the difference isn't more than 10%. So right now, with the 2020 data, the difference between the largest and smallest district in SAISD is 21.7%. So because of that, we must redraw the lines. We are required to by law. There are a few districts that didn't have that deviation, but not many. Most districts did. It's either because of growth or shift in population. And we'll see that in a minute, what our population is here, and we'll talk about that. So what are the requirements? Single member districts must be drawn with no more than a 10% variance in populations. We talked about that. Single member districts must be compact and contiguous. We don't want to do any gerrymandering where we're trying to reach across town to bring that area into this particular district. We don't want to do any of that. We want to be compact and contiguous. We also want to be in compliance with Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, which is we want to make sure that the minority groups here are not being discriminated against, and we're in good shape here. Total deviation, again, between the largest and smallest must be at or below 10%. So some folks have asked, well, can the closer we get to 0, is that better? Well, technically, in terms of generally speaking, yes, that would be great. But the law requires minimum 10%. So if we're at 9%, 8%, 7%, we're in good shape. So additional criteria, we want to use easily identifiable boundaries, roads, highways, rivers, creeks, easily identifiable boundaries to draw the lines and to make those adjustments. We want to preserve incumbent constituency relationships. So we're keeping every single member elected official in their current single member district. So we're allowed to do that, and we're going to do that. We want to maintain communities of interest and keep neighborhoods together. So what we talked about here is certain feeder patterns and what schools end up feeding what high schools and what communities are used to working together. So we're going to talk about the changes that the board felt were a good change in that direction. Oh, let me go back. So here's the actual census data. And in this PowerPoint, if you want to get more information or go back and look at this, is online on the school district's website. So you can get all this information and study it and take a look at it. And there's also a place on that website where you can respond with any questions or any comments. So if you'll see, the largest district right now is single member district 2, 47,399, and the smallest is single member district 4, 38,863. So you would think, okay, why don't we just put population from 2 into 4? Well, it's kind of a domino effect. And the way that the districts are aligned, some of the other districts needed to add a little population if we could, because the ideal population would be that 300,000 divided by 7, which is about 42,000 people roughly. So the idea is to balance the population amongst all the single member districts. So we've been asked questions like, well, can we use voting age population or registered voter population? And well, the law requires that we use just population in general. So every 10 years, we count the people. And that's what we're required to use to balance the lines, to balance the population. And there's additional data in here regarding the Anglo, Asian, Black, Hispanic, and other, and then all the other percentages in the population. Now, San Antonio ISD was a little interesting. In the last census, there was 307,000 people roughly, and the population actually went down to about 300,000. And there's, theories possibly why. Was there an undercount? Was there a shift in population? We've all seen that, certain parts of town, Southtown and other areas, there's folks moving in without kids, and so there's various reasons. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. We have to use the numbers that we get from the census. That's the official numbers that we have to use. So here you'll see the current map and the draft revised map that the board worked with our team. We have a demographer and our legal staff, and we follow those guidelines, follow the criteria, follow the numbers, and we were able to work with the board to make some adjustments. And you'll see that they are circled, and those are the areas that the adjustments were made. And again, the idea though was to use the current map, the current lines, keeping the current board members in their particular district, balancing the population. We 2 had to adjust the population to 4, and then 3 and 1, and you'll see, and then 7 and 6. There were some reasons that we felt, the board felt made sense. Single member District 5 didn't have any changes. So now at this point, we're going to go on and talk more in depth about those, so that way you can see those changes. And I'm going to have my colleague, Eddie Hernandez-Perez, go over those changes specifically.
Righty. Thank you very much, Tony. Again, my name is Eddie Hernandez-Perez, and I'm going to discuss some of the particular changes that are proposed, but prior to solicit feedback, so that the board can take them into account as they make a final approve a final redistricting plan. So I'm going to make a quick note here on the previous slide. I know maps are, it takes me a little bit to kind of figure out, orient myself what's going on. So just a quick note here. On the left, the dark map, or the dark lines, are the outer boundary. Of course, the lines between the districts are the boundaries between the districts. And so this is what the map is currently if no changes were made whatsoever. As Tony went over earlier, if nothing changed, we would be out of compliance with state and federal law because of that 21.7% differential. What I'll highlight over here on the left is you'll notice those dark lines remain the same. So there's no change in the dark line between the left and the right. What does change is the color of the district map. So if wherever you see that there's a change in color right near those dark lines, that means that's a shift from one single member district to another. So just a quick note on that. Now, particular changes. Tony went over the numbers, right? The total population. That's what we're working with. The biggest takeaway is District 2 is the largest district by population. So as a consequence, District 2 must be rebalanced. So that means we have to reduce the population in District 2. And the way we do that through this process is by shifting populations into neighboring districts. And like Tony mentioned, whenever you move one line, it's like a domino effect. So there are other changes that need to be made at that point. The districts were also adjusted to run along more easily identifiable boundaries. So the board looked at the map and said, found a few areas where maybe a straight line made more sense than a cutout. And we'll go into some examples here in a second. And the other point that Tony touched on is the idea of communities of interest. And there's no, there's a broad definition of that, but the board took a look at that, saw communities of interest, and to them it meant communities aligned by feeder pattern. And so as best as the board could, there's an attempt to align single member districts with the communities that feed into their major high school in the area. So we'll go into some of those details here in a second. And again, as much as possible, the board attempted to maintain existing boundaries wherever possible. So the idea is to be as stable as we can, but rebalance the population as needed and draw lines more or less to make a little more sense to the folks in the community. So we'll go through some of those changes here. So the proposed map, again, redistricting, or district number 2 had the largest population. We had to shrink that population. District 4 had the smallest population. We had to boost it up. And so the new proposed map, if adopted, would have a differential between the largest single member district and the smallest of 9.1%. So if you recall that threshold of 10%, we're below that 10%. So we're legally, we're in compliance there. And one of the questions that we get, as Tony mentioned earlier, why don't we try to get down to 0? Wouldn't that be the perfect map? Perfect numerically, maybe, but there are lots of factors to take into account. So if the goal is just to get down to 0, it may not be possible to achieve that without separating a neighborhood, for example, or drawing lines that maybe aren't as common sense as someone just looking at the map might make sense. So all of that, as long as we're below 10% and we're balancing all of the other factors, we're in legal compliance. So we are in District 7. So I'm going to spend most of my time going over the changes in District 7, but I will say, if you're a member from a different district, you have questions about another district, please feel free to ask, and I can spend some more time and answer your questions as they come up. This information is also available on the district's website, and we'll get into that. But I'll just move through briefly through the slides here that go over each single member district, but I'm going to focus in on District 7. So here's District 1. There's a change there in the northwestern part of the district. Single member District 2, you'll see here the western part of the district is where the changes happen. For District 3, it's the northern part of the district. For District 4, you'll see here the changes in the northeast portion. District 5 had no changes, as Tony mentioned, and it was just very close to that average, right around 43,000 people in population, and so there was no change needed. District 6, and most of these changes there's a mirror image of the change here in District 7, so that's where I'm going to focus in here and spend some time. So you'll see 3 areas highlighted here for District 7. The first portion here, as Trustee Garza mentioned, there's one campus, Arnold Elementary, that currently is found in District 6, but those students feed into the Jefferson feeder pattern. And so the board saw that and they said, well, wouldn't it make more sense if maintaining that community of interest, those folks that send their kids to Arnold Elementary voted for the same trustee as the folks that go to Jefferson because of the feeder pattern. And so this line was shifted over to that new boundary, which is Vance-Jackson. And that change now incorporates Arnold Elementary, if adopted, would incorporate Arnold Elementary into the District 7 feeder pattern, the Jefferson feeder pattern. I'll skip down here to the bottom. There was a similar situation with District 6. And so this population, or this area here, is the Beacon Hill neighborhood generally. And so these families currently live in District 7. They would vote for District 7, but their students are actually going to Beacon Hill Elementary, which feeds into District 6. So the trustees took a look at that and they said, well, wouldn't it make more sense if we would align that feeder pattern? So that boundary is moved over to Zarzamora. And so now that brings in the Beacon Hill community, and they now they would feed into District 6 again to align that feeder pattern. And this little section here, we mentioned earlier the idea of compact and contiguous, and then also natural lines, right? So the board looked at that and they said, hey, what's going on there? That's a bit of an odd, it's a squiggle among lots of straight lines. So what's going on there? Well, if I recall correctly, there's an HEB there. And at some point that area was sort of split between the two districts. And so in order to find a more clear boundary, that portion was allocated into District 6. So now that line would just be straight down, straight line, again, to make a little more sense to the eye. So with that, one of the other topics here that we're going to discuss is some of the specifics here. So I mentioned specifically Arnold Elementary, 6 to 7, but if for those folks interested, maybe you're watching online, maybe you're from a different district and you have some questions, but Smith Elementary moved from single member District 2 to single member District 4. Some of the similar considerations as the change in Arnold, and then Beacon Hill Elementary as well. Highland Park Elementary goes from single member District 4 to single member District 3. So this is that change. We moved that line over to Vance-Jackson, and Arnold Elementary is now moved into District 7. Some other changes here. So next steps for the redistricting process. The board has put a lot of thought into this proposed map. So that was kind of the first steps to start to think about what changes might be necessary. The next step is what we're doing here. We're gathering input. So if you have questions, comments, concerns, this is the process. This is the time to share those thoughts so that we can start to gather them and have the board take them into consideration before they make a final determination. Next, the Board of Trustees must adopt a new map. And then once a map is adopted, we have a 30-day period to notify the county because the county needs to know where those changes are. They need to prepare ballots, et cetera. Transitioning to the new map, the change would not go into effect until May 6th of next year, which is the next election date for single member districts 2, 5, and 6. So not District 7 just yet. That change would come in the next election cycle when District 7 is up for election. And SAISD will communicate information about the new map to the community in various ways. The website, here at town hall meetings, social media, newsletters, et cetera. For additional information regarding the redistricting process, there's an email address and a web address that we'll put up shortly. And a couple of notes here. So we mentioned it earlier, but redistricting, it does not change attendance boundaries. Say that again, it does not change attendance boundaries. So if your students are currently attending one elementary, middle, high school, this change, it does not change where your students are zoned, where they're going to school. The only thing that may change, if you're in one of those areas that change from one color to another, one district to another, the only change would be potentially who you're voting for trustee for that area. That's the only change. It does not impact, it also does not grow the district at all. So the district is not taking on new geographic areas or new geographic territories. We're only working with the current total geographic area. So we're not taking over any other parts of the district. And finally, the redistricting, as we mentioned earlier, it's not a choice. It's not something that the board said, hey, this would be a good idea for us to do now. It's something that's required every 10 years once we have the updated data and we realize that we are out of that 10% compliance. In terms of community input, there were 6 meetings scheduled in the various communities. District 5, there were no changes. And so there was a decision made not to have a meeting there in District 5. But of course, if there are any folks from District 5 here, we welcome your questions through all of the platforms that we went over. But this is the 3rd of 6 meetings. So we'll have a few more next week and then the week after that before the board takes final action on a map. You can also submit feedback via an email address there, community@SAISD.net. And I'll leave this up here as we transition. But if you have any questions at all, I know there are some mics set up. We also have a Zoom set up. And so some questions may have come in through there, but I'll leave this up so that you know where to find more information, how to submit questions, comments, concerns. And then other than that, I thank you all so much for coming out. This is a great turnout, beautiful school, beautiful community. If y'all have any questions, we're here to answer those. So thank you.
Thank you, Eddie. And I was told we gotta wrap this up by 7. We got about 7 minutes. So are there any questions from the community that are here about what we're doing and why? And so we're gonna have a quiz on this and we're gonna test you guys. So make sure you guys study. Now, Paloma, do you have any questions from online? Okay, go ahead and read that and we'll answer it as best we can between Eddie and myself.
Hernandez on Zoom asked, are there any plans for San Antonio ISD to eat some of the smaller neighboring districts?
Are there any plans for San Antonio ISD to eat any of the smaller neighboring districts? So the answer to that is no. The school district boundaries that were determined by the legislature are the school district boundaries that are here to stay. Now, I will say there are rare situations where if a school district is not performing or financial reasons, the state will allow for a consolidation. Yeah, no, that is not something that we're going to do. I know San Antonio ISD is a great district. As a matter of fact, Eddie Hernandez-Perez was a teacher at San Antonio ISD before he went to law school and joined a firm. So we're very familiar with the success of the school district. But yeah, we're not going to be taking over any other school districts close by. But good question. Any other, Paloma? Any more questions? Okay. So again, we really appreciate you guys, your time, your attention, and the importance of one person, one vote. And we're going to let Mr. Board Member Garza kind of wrap this up in case there's anything else we want to go over. But thank you. Thank you all very much.
Thank you to our consulting team on the redistricting presentation. And you can see they put a lot of hard work and effort into it. The best part of tonight, though, with all due respect to our consultants and with all due respect, is Miss LaGrange here. That's right. Let's give her a round of applause. She always appreciates our leadership. But with all due respect to even Miss LaGrange and Dr. Kino, is when we hear from our campus leaders, our campus principals, our dynamic leaders that give us a glimpse of what's happening. And again, I tell the JELC leadership, if I'm the only one in the audience, it's still worth it because I learn more about all the schools in our community by sitting here and listening in one night than if I actually went to every school and try to meet and condense it all. It's just impossible. I know our superintendent is now making a tour. I think he's toured almost half of the schools already, and we'll be at a school near you soon. But I do want to acknowledge again our leadership here, and if they can come up as we present their slides, they're going to give us an update on what's happening in District 7 and our Jefferson Young Women's Leadership Academy schools. So who do we have up first on our slide presentation? If we can have a couple of the principals, I think we go first with, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot one other thing before an announcement, talking about community engagement. Our 7th annual, or it's coming back, the IB World Bowl between Burbank and Jefferson being the 2 IB schools, and many of the feeder schools at both Burbank and Jefferson will be celebrating its rivalry. This is not just in football. This is a rivalry now that is extended into other sports because they are both world schools and many of the feeder schools, but it's not exclusive to the IB schools. These are feeder night for all of our campuses. So the flyer is being sent out. This is October the 14th. We will be at a cozier sports complex for this game. So it'll be true Friday night lights. It'll be packed, unlike sometimes we're at Alamo Stadium and it's so big there. This will be an exciting night. Some of the campus leaders are talking about a service project that can become part of this tradition, because again, IB is all about producing global leaders for the future. We will have support for those that need transportation. I know Lanier, Ms. Parker, who started that same tradition at Lanier, recently had a really good turnout at their feeder school night. Some schools had buses, some schools didn't. It just depends on the circumstances. But we want you to talk to your community. Whatever you need in transportation support, please let us know. And again, we will somehow make it happen with a pregame parade of schools. There'll be a contest on who has the most spirit, the most engagement, the diversity, the theme of the night, certainly with our World Parade of Nations. So there will be some big prizes for our schools and campus leaders. So again, we want to thank our partner in this, TCIS, and of course, SAISD. We're going to make this a very special night for both our campuses. And I see Coach Cardenas, they just won an overtime game last week against Brackenridge. So congratulations. And Burbank lost last week to slow them down a little bit. So it should be a fun night between both schools. So please mark this date down and we'll provide you more information on the Tommy Bowl, which is in November at the next JELC. So with that, we'll start with our principal briefings. Campus glows. I like that. Who's first? Of course, our host school, Mr. Halderman, our head of school. And then if you can introduce our next slide, whoever the next slide is.
I guess I'm like you, Dr. Aquino. I don't like standing behind this, but I guess I need to do that. I guess I'm waiting for our slide to go up. But while that's going on, I just want to take this opportunity to thank these 4 gentlemen. There was 4. Chief Reyes and his team, they came by today and we visited a little bit and we debriefed. Thank you so much. I mean, we appreciate you making sure that we were all safe. I deeply appreciate that. Let's give them another round of applause, please. I also want to say I got to give a thank you and a deep, sincere thank you to our our faculty and staff here at Jeff. Let's give them a round of applause. They did an amazing job. Without them, this would not have happened. I always say the teachers are the ones, and I know I only have 1 minute. My minute's probably already up, but you know what? What are they going to do to me? My staff out here probably says he needs to sit down, but I just want to say that without them, they go into that classroom every day and they put their best foot forward. And I tell them every day, I just thank you for showing up. Just thank you for showing up, because these days showing up, that's big. That's big. So I want to thank them. I also want to thank our district leadership, starting with you, Dr. Aquino. Thank you for all the support you guys gave us yesterday during this time. It's not indicative of who we are. I want you to know that here at Jeff. What you saw tonight is what's indicative of who we are. All right, so let me kind of go through here what's not happening at Jefferson High School. So we start out the year, as you can see up there on our, right here at the bottom, right here, our ice cream social. Dr. Aquino, I really hope you're going to be able to join us next year. I know you had other commitments there. Well, our coffee with the head of school topic was mental health. You can see up there it was apropos for us to be able to bring in Clarissa Zamora from, I think she was from Laurel Ridge. She did an amazing job, and we had about 60 parents join us for that. Our 9/11 ceremony, I don't know, I see where do I see our Major Starks? Is she here? Okay, I see Lieutenant Colonel Cheatham, but our cadets do an amazing job. And I also want to say, we put all 1,700 students in that auditorium the other day, and they did an amazing job. They gave the respect that was due for that ceremony. Our 9th and 10th, our counselors had a 9th and 10th grade parent night to kind of plan out a 4-year plan for our 9th and 10th graders coming up. We had a personal project panel where our students were able to come in. All of our 10th grade students have to, they put together a personal project every year, being part of the International Baccalaureate Middle School Years program. Our teachers did a great job. They got to sit down and pitch their project to our teachers, and they got feedback there. We had an amazing open house just this past Monday, and you can see the picture up there on the top right, all the happy faces there. And then our senior sunrise, first time we've done that. Our seniors came up 6:30 in the morning, and I told you, you can get up. You can get to school on time. They were here at 6:30 in the morning for tacos and donuts, so we know they can get up. So, and here on the right there, so what's coming up? We have our stress management with our DP students. We want to make sure that they're taken care of. Their social and emotional needs are taken care of. We're going to have 11th and 12th grade parent night with our counselors, and we got a college fair coming up. I do want to say this, and I know I want to thank Ms. Parker. She does this for me. I could not do this, and my daughter's standing right next to her, and she knows I probably could not do this, and she knows that for sure. So I want to thank her for doing that for me. All right. With that being said, I was here for probably 4 minutes. I'm sorry, but coming up, we're going to turn this over to Young Women's Leadership.
Thank you, Mr. Haldeman. Good afternoon. My name is Regina Arzamendi, and it is my privilege and honor to be here with you tonight as the proud principal of the Young Women's Leadership Academy. I will go through our highlights that we have accomplished within 6 weeks. For Meet the Teacher, before the school year even starts, really happy to have welcomed all of our families onto campus during our Meet the Teacher event. And then on the first day of school, again, we continued to welcome our students back to an amazing start of our school year. So we were very humbled to have had Senator Menendez visit our campus on the first day of school. He continues to be a great partner to our school to speak to our students about what it means to have grit, perseverance, and commitment. So we were very grateful to have him on that first day. Our White Rose ceremony is a beautiful annual tradition that we hosted to welcome all of our incoming new to YWLA students. We did hold it at YWLA in our auditorium. It's a beautiful ceremony that begins with the introduction of our new students, where they are presented with their White Rose. We then followed the White Rose ceremony with our From Navy to Red ceremony. And this is an annual tradition as well, where we then officially welcome our middle school students into the high school program, and they shed the Navy cardigan and then put on the honor of wearing their high school red cardigan. Our open house recently took place. We had a great night of open house, then again welcoming our parents back onto campus to give them a little bit more insight to what we have on our campus. And then our farmers market, we honoring our pillar of health and wellness. We are having a monthly farmers market that we host at YWLA, and we are really great to be able to provide this market to our families and our community members. Upcoming future events, we're looking forward to our annual We-Satch-a-thon. This is our annual walkathon that supports our pillar of health and wellness as well. So we'll be hosting that on October 28th in conjunction with our Fall Fest. Fall Fest is an event that is student planned and student implemented. So they will be leading this festival on our campus on October 28th. And then we are also having our very first annual all-girls math competition that's taking place on September, let me see, the date I have on there, October 15th. Thank you, Ms. Montelongo, who is here with me in the audience as well. And this is going to be our first annual all-girls competition for 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. So we will have more information on that as well. And again, I just want to take just a moment again to acknowledge our police, our SAISD police officers, and the Jefferson staff for their bravery in light of yesterday's events. It is a very challenging time to be in public education, and I just want to personally thank our officers and our Jefferson community for all of your incredible work yesterday. So thank you very much.
There we go. Good evening. My name is Nancy Rodriguez, and I'm the proud principal or head of school at Longfellow Middle School. And we started with a big celebration with our staff this year because we were able to get a C or a 78 as a rating. And so we're very excited because we compared ourselves to other neighboring Northside schools and we beat them. So we were very excited about that. So that was the theme. I mean, so we decided that we were going to be the game changers this year. So you see a picture up there because we're going to level up and we're going to be an A next year. And so we're going to finish off strong. And so we started with an academic focus. And so we want to make sure that our kiddos give us some good data so that our teachers can work off of that and plan better to better support our students. And so we are working a lot with our map data. We had a great open house on September 7th, and there's a couple of pictures from open house. Also, we want to acknowledge one of our teachers. She came to me last year, first year teacher. She's like, Miss Rodriguez, I want to start a cheer group. So we started a cheer group this year. So we're very excited about that. And our sports, of course, are in full swing this year. So we have volleyball and football that we were highlighting a couple of pictures there. They're doing really well. We are going to we're going into homecoming week. This coming week, we are playing Whittier, which is our big rival, and we beat them academically. So yay! And so we have some theme days coming up next week. The following week, we'll be celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. And so we're doing some theme days for that as well. And then last but not least, one of our upcoming meetings for our families is we're doing a STEM night. So we want to invite all our families to be involved and learn all the things that we're doing at Longfellow. So thank you.
So this is my first joke as a principal, and I'm a lot more nervous than I have been the last couple of times. Thank you very much. So that being said, I have notes. So so there's a lot of learning and growing going on at Woodlawn Academy. We're super excited. The students know and live the learner profile. There's a current door competition going on, and there's secret operations going on. So they're in it to win it. Back to my notes. They're engaged in rigorous IB learning. We were featured on the front of the SAISD website with, and our students were able to do a deep dive and research on the Queen and kind of map out her passing. They were able to watch the ceremony and deliver a lot of international thinking around her contributions to the world. We're proud to count Miss Hunter as Texas Clinical Teacher of the Year. They're going to come from the University of the Incarnate Word to come and celebrate with her. The mascot's coming. That's the secret, so don't blow it. I want the kids to be surprised. Our Lady Eagles volleyball team is undefeated. They're playing tonight. So we're all wishing them luck. They love to win, but most importantly, they hate to lose. So that's what we like to say. We believe that education is the toughest team sport you can play in, which is why we're a campus of collaboration. You see it in our students and our teachers every day. Open house is coming on the 13th, and community is returning to Woodlawn Academy. So my story, and hopefully I'm not going over a minute, 150 grandparents showed up at the Woodlawn Academy cafeteria. When I pulled up to the school, it's like, man, I hope 6 grandparents don't show up. And they just kept coming and coming and coming, and started sweating, and we needed to go get more donuts, and we played loteria, and 2 grandmas won at the same time. It was about to be an international incident, but I don't know. Beans were flying everywhere is what I'm saying. But I'm so happy to say that we're bringing a lot of traditions back. There's going to be a trunk or treat on the 27th. And I'm excited to see the smiles on all the faces of kids and families. Thank you. How did I do, Ma?
Okay, that's me. That's me. Okay. So hello, I am the very proud principal at Fenwick Academy. My name is Cassie McClung. We've had a wonderful start to our school year this year. We had a wonderful meet the teacher, lots of parents, lots of excitement on our kids' faces coming in. We have our mascot up there as our meet the teacher. So we are a photo op for our parents. In addition to that, we've recently had our open house, and that was also very successful. Parents got to come in and really learn what the expectations were for their students at our IB school, both academically and through the lens of IB. We also have some upcoming events coming. So we have our first principal's coffee on September 28th. That's going to be from 2 to 3 o'clock. In addition to that, on October 20th, we will be having our fall festival and our Dia de los Muertos altar display. And we will also have on October 31st, our character parade, where our students get to dress up as their favorite storybook character. And we do a parade outside of our school so our parents can see them. We have a few pictures up there to show, to celebrate. So our art teacher has done a wonderful display where each child in our student in our class got to create their own feather. And with that, she was able to create our Together We Soar wings, and gives a photo op for our students. So that's a collaboration between all students at Fenwick Academy, and each of them got to take part in that decoration. They were very, very proud of it. Our theme for this school year is every interaction matters. And that's something that we're trying to instill not only in the teachers and the staff, but in our students, that every time they interact with somebody, that could be like the telltale moment of how they remember you, and just making sure that every interaction is a very positive one, and instilling that in our students. So that is been, oh, we have one more. So to honor our SAISD police officers, we also have a cookies and coffee for our cops, and it gives our students a chance to write letters of gratitude and gratefulness to our officers, and invite them to come by and grab a little to-go bag of cookies and coffee. And it also gives our students an opportunity to share their gratitude for them. So that's it. That's Fenwick. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Marisa Mendez, the proud principal of Nelson Early Childhood. We are the youngest learners in Jefferson feeder pattern. We are a Head Start Center. We are proud that we are over our enrollment this school year. So we've gained over 50 more students this year. We also potty trained 50 students in the first 2 weeks of school. So if you've never seen a potty party, we have had lots of potty parties, and you can kind of see our kids there interacting with a book called No David. Team De Leon is also visiting our young learners tomorrow for learning walks. So we're very excited to visit them, to have them visit. We also have regular safety visits from our SAISD police, and you can see one of our great officers walking one of our students to class very lovingly. We also have the Woodlawn SAPD, who actually comes by once a week. So we're very, very thankful to have that presence. We have had lots of great parent events, our first Title I meeting, our first PCC, and elections are starting to take place already. Most of our events are having at least 100 parents, so we're very, very thankful to have that visibility. Our FAST program is kicking off, and so that's families and schools together, so we're very thankful for that. And we are celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month, and our open house is Monday. So we love our babies. If you know any 3 or 4-year-olds that need Head Start, please have them come see Nelson. Thank you. Just press this button.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Belinda Hernandez. I'm the proud principal of Arnold Elementary. And I was told that I had a minute. So I had two very exciting activities for the beginning of the year. We had our principal's coffee, or cafecito con la directora, and we had our PTA there. That's that first picture. Then we had a picture of the parents. We had about 50 parents, and the parents were presented with information from our communities in school. Arnold has never had communities in school. It was the first time, so we were excited about having that in our school. We have a new instructional coach. Her name is Mrs. Morales, and Mrs. Morales presented to our parents how to access Canvas. She talked about the curriculum. She talked about the new TEA star redesign. We also had a PTA, so if they wanted to join PTA, that was the time to do so. And then the pictures on the right are our grandparent celebration. We had a great parade. We had about 100 grandparents there. And if you see the pictures, the grandparents were dressed like the child was dressed actually like the grandparent. And so they went through the hallway. It was wonderful. And that's just one example right there. So the grandpa plays guitar. The young man has his little guitar there too. And they're both wearing their guayaberas. So some things that are coming up in October, we are having our fall festival. We're also, I have an art committee, our art club, and the art club will be attending Chalk It Up on October the 8th. And we also have our storybook character parade that we're going to hold on the 31st as well. Thank you.
Hello, hello. My name is Yvonne Martinez, and I am the proud principal at Baskin Elementary. Yay! We have our admin team in the house tonight. If you guys could wave. Woo! They're all here tonight to support Baskin. Oh, press the clicker. Okay, so at Baskin Elementary, we maintained our B rating, and we are very proud of that. At Baskin, we believe, achieve, and succeed. So these are some of the things that are happening with our students and staff. We are celebrating and supporting our new teachers, and we have a librarian. Yay, because we didn't have one last year. Yay. And so we are also hosting UTSA and St. Philip student teachers. We have about 9 of them on campus. We completed MAP growth and MAP fluency, and our students did a tremendous job. We celebrated 3-week perfect attendance with a popcorn party. And we started school-wide intervention, and that happens with all staff members at the top of the day, every single day. We had a superintendent visit from Dr. Aquino, so he was able to meet our students and our staff. We hosted Team De Leon principal PLN, and that was exciting. We had all 17 principals there. And we have regular safety visits from SAISD police as well. And so you see one of our police officers there with one of our second grade teachers. Let's see. So for community and family engagement, we had a parent orientation for each grade level, pre-K through 5th grade, and we had a great turnout. We also had principal's coffee in August, and we have one coming up at the end of September. And so we have a super great turnout for that. And for our Grandparents' Day parade, we did a drive-through parade, and we had over 100 families show up, and we gave them a little sweet treat. We had our first Cub Scouts meeting last week, and we had about 20 boys that are going to sign up. So we're excited about that. We had our first PTA meeting this evening. And so I believe we had over 25 families there for that tonight. We're having a Right to Counsel project family meeting coming up next week. And then we're also celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. And the thing that we're super excited about is our house reveal. We're going to do Harry Potter houses. And so we're super excited about that. We've been talking to the kids about it. And so that's all that we have going on at Baskin. Thank you so much.
All right, I'm the assistant principal at Huppert's Elementary. Miss Rios, our principal, couldn't be here this evening. So we're excited. We have over 300 students enrolled. Woohoo, that's big for us. We've been at like 270 for the longest. We had school supply donations. I'm part of a Jeep club, so we were able to get 50 backpacks donated full of supplies from the Third Coast Jeep Club, as well as the Say Yes organization. We completed our MAP testing for K through 5. We're almost done with our circle testing as well in pre-K. We presented each month we present our IB learner profiles. So this month was caring. And then we hosted the AVID training for teachers that had not been AVID trained. I participated in that as well. It was super fun. We celebrated Freedom Week. We had different dress up days, and I think all the kids participated. We had an open house. We had the Jefferson Lassos. I was not successful at that. The HEB Buddy, we had the Universal Karate Studios and Book Fair, and then we're launching the PTO. We had 20 volunteers already. So that's Huppert's.
Okay, now I'm really nervous because of the timing. Oh, Lord. Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay, see, I'm already messing up. Jesus. Okay. All right. Hi, I'm Leanna Cano, proud principal of Madison Elementary, the Proud Mighty Dragons. And so let me share with you real quick. Our theme this year is one team, one goal. We were really focusing hard on ensuring that we got that B, and we got a B+. Okay, so we're taking that B+ with us, and we're going to keep pushing through. And so as far as the community, we had a great turnout with Meet the Teacher and SAPD, Blue Cares, and Kano Health, the partnership. They showed up to our Meet the Teacher. It was excellent. We had a great support with them, and there's pictures there you can see. So with SAPD, they provided so many backpacks. I mean, every family had a chance to take a backpack home with supplies stuffed in it. So that was great. And then if you know where Madison's at, we have Kano Health across the street. And the inside joke is, no, there's no connection. I don't have any connection with Kano Health with my name, but that's always the inside joke. The kids think that I own. I'm like, I'm not that rich, sweetie. I don't have that kind of, but I did partner with them. And so you can see the doctor up there. So we're making connections with Kano Health across the street. And so we're excited about that new partnership. We just held our open houses of the past couple of weeks. So we broke it up into 2 sections, or 2 days rather, 2 evenings, because parents, we want to ensure that they get to meet the teacher or visit with the classroom and spend quality time versus rushing from one, grade level to another. So we broke it up to 2 days, and that was successful. We had the Say Yes Foundation. If there's pictures there with the kiddos, and I think it's a Ninja Turtle up there, where they gave us a really nice box of supplies as well. The kids got to take that home so that they have some supplies at home to use as well too. Very proud that our student enrollment is definitely over projection. We're over by at least 40 students plus. So, or more than that, really. I mean, we keep getting them registering. So we're excited about ensuring that we're going beyond our projection and more. And so our classes are loading up nicely, and it's just great to see that they're all coming back after the couple of years we've had. As far as MAP testing, my goodness, we're really excited about the gains that have happened with MAP testing for the beginning of the year, because it just seems like even though the summer slide, we worry about that, the kids really had excelled well. So we got a lot of tier 1 kids already starting the year off. And so the goal is to ensure that we take them to the next level for meets and masters across
pre-K all the way to 5th grade. So we're really excited about what we're seeing as far as the early assessments. Upcoming events, Heritage Month celebration, bilingual spelling bee, and many other events to come. Also perfect attendance, the back to school jam. I look forward to jamming with my kiddos that have been showing up every day to school. And with that being said, thank you. Have a good night. Hurry up, Layla. We got to go.
Good evening. All right. I'm Layla Garza, the proud principal of Maverick Elementary. Thank you. I always give Miss Cano a hard time because going after her, woo. And I told Trustee Garza, we're going backwards next meeting. We're going to start with Woodlawn Hills and then Maverick. But we've been doing a lot of things at Maverick, and I'm just going to be really quick. We are over projection, 508 students. I think we got to 510 today. That's 50 plus students over what we were projected. We do have had a Maverick orientation for new students with our counselor. Again, for the second year in a row, our students are visiting our counselor every week in guidance lessons for 30 minutes. We think it's important to develop the social and emotional learning. Dr. Aquino also, you'll see a picture up there. He did visit us a couple of weeks ago. We were excited to have him. We're also focusing on science. We are wanting to raise our achievement scores around science, and we're using the QSSSA strategy. And then we also have a couple of teachers that are embarking in their teacher leadership programs. One is in the UT SAISD partnership, and then we also have a teacher in the Future Ready Leader. Some community engagements that opportunities we've had. We had a Meet the Teacher event. We had our principal chat with parents, which we talked about school safety. We had a pretty big turnout there. Our parents haven't been in our campus in 2 years, so we were excited to welcome them back through our doors. We had a great open house event, and we had a grandparent celebration. There's a picture in the bottom corner. It was a drive-through. They were able to get a bumper sticker that said Dragon Grandparent and some paletas. And some upcoming events, we do have our Recycle Fridays. Our Recycle Corral is 24/7. So if you have recycle plastics or aluminum, take them in front of Maverick. We have that Recycle Corral that's always open. We are going to celebrate World Teachers Day on 10/5. And then also our PTA is up and running this school year. They're going to have a rummage sale, and we're partnering, connecting it with our Beautification Day on 10/15. Thank you.
Buenas tardes. Good afternoon. My name is Marta Martinez Flores. I am the proud head of school of Woodlawn Hills Elementary. So first and foremost, when it gets started with, we held a community walk. This was in July. And as you can see, we stopped at the Oaks of Bandera. And because of that, I want to tell you that our enrollment projection went up to 433. We were at like 380 projected, and we're at 433. So we're real excited about that. Also, we held our open house where I want to thank, we have our in-district charter that I know TCIS is in the house. So we want to thank TCIS because of them. We have a full-time choir teacher, and our choir did a fantastic job at our open house. We have merienda with the principal on September 27th. We have upcoming parent-teacher conferences, October 21st and the 24th. We have IB University coming up, where teachers are going to be teaching parents in our community on what is IB, both in English and Spanish. And we will have our Feria del Día de los Muertos on November the 2nd. Hope to see you there. Thanks. Gracias.
Let's give a round of applause to all of our campus leaders. I think Principal Cano was the only one that got the, let's go faster. I think Mr. Holloman was going to make an announcement also, but I do want to acknowledge all of our support staff that helped make this night possible, a reality and a success. And our host again, Ms. Parker, and your team of FACE specialists, Ms. Sertuche, Dominique. It's always good to see the leadership in our community, especially yesterday when all the campus leaders were huddling to talk about yesterday's events. It was good to see the FACE specialists as part of that because they're representing the community. I also want to thank our district staff, Teresa Mendoza, who's here. Where's Teresa? Thank you. And all of our media team that's here. Thank y'all. I think we're going to keep Roger as a timekeeper for our future meetings as well. And before, one more thing, if we can have all of our students that are here, that are still here, because we recognize our students, but all of our students that are still here, that's leadership. Please stand and be recognized, because that you are the reason we are here tonight. Please stand. Any students that are still here, engaged and listening. Thank you. And so before we open it up to announcements, and by the way, our next JELC, every JELC this program year, we will have a topic that relates to our priorities for the district goals. So please, it's the third Wednesday of the month, 6:30. We started earlier tonight, 6:30. But please mark that on your calendars because it will relate to our priorities. And yes, we have a special recognition here before the announcements.
Yes, thank you, Trustee Garza. Come here, Tony. So, we've already kind of had this earlier today, but I just want to, in front of all of you, I want to let you know that Tony, who started here at Jefferson in 1986, she's going to be retiring. I can't imagine walking these halls without seeing you. And so I want to tell this story because I told it earlier. And so 5 years ago when I came to interview, and I was nervous because I was going to have to interview in front of a panel like students and parents and teachers and administrators. And so there was like 15 or 20 people. So I'm sitting there and I'm kind of going, okay, I'm waiting for it to happen. Well, then this lady comes, she's at the door. This is when we were at Lavaca. And so she's at the door and I go, okay, she's knocking. I don't even have a key. So I let her in, here she was. I don't know, your hair was like purple, pink. I don't know what it was. But so I let her in. I didn't know who she was. And so, so she walks in and so as I enter the interview room, I'm scanning through and looking at all the people that in the interview, and I look and there she was. She was part of the interview committee. And one thing Ms. Chrisanne did say earlier today when we were kind of honoring her, she said, I knew you were important. She goes, I didn't know if I wanted to come to Jeff because I brought Dee Chrisanne here to Jeff. And she goes, but you know what? I knew you were, and she met you. I guess you guys met and you guys became like sisters. But she said, I knew you had to be important because Mr. Halderman said, she was on the interview committee. So she said, you must be important. So you are. And thank you for always being there. And you have kept this school, and you've kept it beautiful. And like tonight, her leadership is why the school looks like it does tonight. So Tony, thank you for everything. 1986. So. Yes. And she said she didn't get to meet you yet, but now you guys got to meet. So. Is that it?
Tony began her career here at Jefferson when I was a student. That's a true story. All right, we have a microphone here. We have a number of groups that want to make some announcements. If you have any questions, please come to the mic. If you have a big announcement coming up from your organization or community, neighborhood association, campus leader, Joe Beth.
Okay, this isn't going to work. Okay, I have to look up here. Hi, I'm Joe Beth Kirkpatrick. I'm with the LASSO Alumni Association, and most of y'all are familiar with the Big Give program. Well, that starts tomorrow. The LASSO Alumni has a page. I think I saw SAISD Foundation has a page. Please throw your money at these organizations. They're fabulous causes. LAA, the LASSO alumni, collect these funds and we provide scholarships to graduating seniors who are LASSOs. We also help them with financial aid during the year. That's one program. The next thing I want your money for is if you come play mini golf with us on October the 26th. That's another one of our fundraisers. Thank you very much. Please come play golf.
Thank you, Sylvia.
My name is Sylvia Aguilar, and I'm president of the Thomas Jefferson High School Historical Preservation Society. And I want to announce that November 5th, we will have our first open house since the pandemic, again, November the 5th. But this time around, we have invited the architectural community of Texas, and we are being supported by Ford Powell and Carson and the Office of Historic Preservation. So we hope you can all come. It's free.
Thank you. Ms. Dillinger. There's another mic there too, by the way.
Is my hot? Doesn't matter. I can project. I was a theater teacher here. I was here in '86 as well. I'm representing Anna Sandoval, a graduate of Jefferson High School, who is your District 7 City Council representative. And I just want all of you to know if there are any problems that you have, please feel free to contact our office. We've had a great start of school working with many of the schools in the district. And we'd like to continue that and help each and every one of you. So please feel free to reach out. I left some cards at the front table with our contact information on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Dillinger. Please extend our congratulations also to our councilwoman on her wonderful, beautiful baby. Other announcements, questions? Bianca.
Since you asked, Bianca Maldonado, I live on the back side of the school and I'm a board member of the Monticello Park Neighborhood Association. And Mr. Garza, you wanted me to raise a concern about drip irrigation that's not working on the outer field along the front entrance. If that could be addressed with the school district with regarding maintenance of the grounds, that would be very beneficial as we're coming out of the drought. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't say thank you to all the SAISD police officers who responded, but also please hold. The most important piece is the almost 60 officers from SAPD that also responded, because it was not just done with them. It was a collaborative effort. And also to the firefighters who responded for the EMS incident. There was a significant amount of manpower that responded to the school. And as you talk about lessons learned, I hope you'll engage the surrounding community so we can have a dialogue on how we ensure that when there is an emergency event, that those personnel can access the campus, because that was a huge issue. And so we look forward to ensuring that students are safe and that people can come to and from school in a safe manner. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Maldonado. And yeah, oftentimes we think of student safety only on the campus, but just because they walk across the street doesn't mean our responsibility doesn't end. It's a community effort to protect our most vulnerable population, our students, and it is a powerful partnership with our residents, our neighbors, who I know yesterday were texting me and calling me what's going on, and they're very, very engaged in all of our schools in this area. They keep an eye out on our schools. When the administrators leave and the students leave, the residents are always here. They're always here, and so I do appreciate the offer, and we will take that as part of our input for making our plan even stronger. Other questions, announcements? Mr. Hernandez, our sports guru coach.
Yes, I'm Robbie Hernandez, the head esports coach here at Thomas Jefferson High School. I just want to let everyone know that our season is going to start next week. So really excited about that. We have over 30 members on our teams. So we're excited to start our season, and we hope to have your support throughout our season and next season as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions, announcements? Okay, well, thank you very much. We'll see you next month, third Wednesday of the month. See you then. Have a good night.